I would like to go ahead and call to order the Committee of the Whole meeting this May 10th, 6 o'clock p.m. We have several items on tonight's agenda that are very important to this council. Really some carryovers from the council offsite that we had a month or two ago. And I think with that, I'm going to go ahead and introduce Preeti, who will kick things off. Preeti, if you don't mind taking it from here.
Thank you, Council President, Council members. Good evening. I'm Preeti Sridhar with the Executive Department. I'm here joined by Carrie Roller from Administrative Services Department, Benita Horn, and other staff members. We may also have in our audience today several members of the Mayor's Inclusion Mayor's Inclusion Task Force. I will start today with a presentation of the 2022-2027 business plan. I will start with sharing my screen and share with you the revisions that Council presented at the Council retreat to the business plan and asked staff to come back with those changes. Are you able to see the PowerPoint presentation?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
It's not in presentation mode exactly, but we can see it.
Is that better?
Well, we're still seeing all the surrounding the other there. That's better.
Okay, thank you.
Uh-huh.
So the Renton's business plan is a 6-year plan. And, this is the plan that is our guiding document, our strategic plan, which is one that guides all the city's operations and shows, what it is that we do for the city, our community, our residents and business. Our vision statement guides our, goals and our priorities for the future. And every year, as you know, the council at its retreat reviews the business plan to make sure that we are on track and that we are keeping up with what's relevant in the current times. And this year, as always, the council looked at our business plan to once again ensure that it's in keeping with what's relevant. What makes us very proud is our business plan is on one page, and our business plan is on every desk of every employee and every wall of every conference room at City Hall. And this year at our retreat, we reviewed the business plan very carefully, and some of the areas that the council felt we needed to add some extra emphasis was to ensure that in addition to all our goals of inclusion and equity, that we add emphasis on being a hate-free community, that we put some extra focus on seeking grants as we look at resources for investment and funding, that we put a specific focus area on municipal level climate change, and that we add and enhance our emphasis on mental health and human services funding. I have attached for all council members a resolution with the specific changes, and I will quickly walk through where we added these goals and how we have reflected it in the business plan. And in this particular slide, I've shown the business plan with the highlights, but there is, as part of the documents for you council members, the resolution, if you so choose to adopt it, for us to, have as our document going forward. But in terms of our human services, as part of the goal for providing a safe and healthy and vibrant community, we added the language saying that we would support the growing need for human services funding to address the challenges of housing and mental health. As far as seeking grants, we added this goal with again the specific language saying that we would actively seek funds and other funding opportunities. We put this under the promote economic vitality and strategically position Renton for the future. Under the goal of support planned growth and influence decisions to foster environmental sustainability, we added text that says, assume a critical role in improving our community's health and environmental resilience by addressing impacts of climate change for future generations. When it came to addressing a hate-free community, we felt that this language needed to go directly into the goal of inclusion, and we changed the language where we said, building an inclusive, informed, and hate-free city with equitable outcomes for all in support of social, economic, and racial justice. In our next slide here, we show you the business plan without the highlights. And as we do every year, we have changed the images, we've changed the color so that we can show that this is a fresh, new 6-year business plan for the year 2022 to 2027. So with that, I present our new business plan and see if the council has any questions, or hopefully the council is ready to adopt this, because we will then make it available to all staff. We will hold a Renton 101 session so that we can bring all the staff up to speed, and they can be, they can adopt and feel part of the business plan, which guides all their work.
All right. Well, I sure appreciate the work that staff put into this, synthesizing our comments, working them in. It's always hard to keep it to one page and cover everything that we want to cover, and I really appreciate the effort. With that, I'd like to ask if council members are comfortable with this, or if there's other ideas that you feel you want to see.
Mr. Chair?
Yes. Oh, is that Councilmember O'Halloran, I think?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
I just want to say that I think staff did an awesome job of capturing the spirit of what we want to communicate and how we want to poise ourselves in all of those critical areas that we had talked about at the retreat. And also to Councilmember Prince's point previously, keeping it to one page is important. So I'm very pleased with this and very much in support. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember.
Mr. President?
Yes, Councilmember Prince.
Thank you. And Councilmember O'Halloran really succinctly surmised my thoughts on this. But I think you guys did an excellent job of consolidating our thoughts based on the conversations that we've had. And gosh, I can't remember how many business plans this is for me now, but it's always a process. And so I appreciate that you guys have worked so hard on this. And it's something that I think is workable and doable and something we can be proud of.
Thank you, Councilmember Prince.
Thank you, council members.
I'll ask any final comments on that, or are we ready to proceed? I think I'll assume, unless if you don't speak up, I'll assume you're comfortable with it and you can go ahead and adopt it. Good. Well, thank you. I see one hand raised. Councilmember Van.
Yeah, thank you, Council Chair. I just wanted to thank staff for your effort and work on the business plan. We are just for my understanding, it's not on the adoption for the calendar tonight, right? It's for next time. Okay, yeah. Okay, and so, yeah, I think last time we were talking about just the term hate-free, and I know we're trying to keep it to one page, and I'm all for that. It was at the safety, under the safety bullet, so I was just wondering, what is staff's rationale in terms of, moving into the informed, inclusive paragraph, or just kind of curiosity?
We had a lot of discussion over that, Councilmember Van, and we did, we did have it under safety, and then we also had discussion at mayor's staff, and the general consensus was that if we have it under inclusion and equity, then it also serves the community's desire to be able to support any concerns if there were under, if there are any hate crimes. And in fact, that leads me to the next part of my presentation that I was going to share, which is a community-oriented and campaign that's going to lead to a part of our inclusion campaign that I was going to share with you as a next part.
Preeti, Council President, in response to Councilmember Van's question, it is on the Council agenda, Resolution 4435 for tonight.
For tonight, right? Okay.
Oh, for tonight. Oh, okay.
Under Council concur.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, I just wanted to confirm that because the way it sounded was not. But yeah, thank you for the answer, Preeti. I was just curious.
Yeah, and I have a next part of my presentation which will also hope to consolidate that thinking.
Okay, and Councilmember Van, I didn't mean to cut you off. Is that acceptable answer then at this point?
Yeah, I was just curious. Thank you.
Okay, and I saw Councilmember O'Halloran's hand. I think it was just to answer the question correctly about the timing. Is that correct? Or,
That is correct. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for that correction. And as we're passing thank yous around, I'm greatly indebted to the staff, but I also want to thank the council. There was some great new ideas for very important material brought forward this year. And considering sort of the format that we were coping with and how much we were trying to squeeze into a rather, a somewhat shorter time period, I think the process we used was really quite effective. And I thought you had communicated well the new items that we wanted to see so that staff could in fact be successful. So I want to thank the council for that as well. Preeti, if you're ready to move to the next section then.
Sure. Thank you. So the next section actually takes exactly and helps kind of talk about the placement of our the words hate-free. Some of you might have seen the campaign Hate Has No Home Here, which is a national campaign and was actually recently also promoted in the city of Bellevue. And we had taken this campaign to our Mayor's Inclusion Task Force at their April meeting to talk about if, Renton was also to take the campaign, to our community. And one of the things that we heard back from our task force members also was, yes, it's a great idea, but that we wanted to do something more than a one-time deal as a community campaign, that it should make sense. It should make sense as something part of a bigger, commitment from the city. And it needs to be something that's not just borrowed from a national campaign, but should be part of our commitment on an ongoing basis to, hate-free. And then we knew that we were going to do, as part of our embracement to our business plan. And so then, it made sense saying, for us, it wouldn't be a one-time deal, but something that would be part of our ongoing journey and our ongoing focus of being an inclusive city, focus on equity. And so when we looked at our broader commitment, and we even looked at even just this year, though of course our focus goes back so many years, even outlining some of the things we've done this year with, starting in the year, the, mayor and council statement against hate speech, the steps of City Hall where the mayor, governor, council, stood up against racial violence. In April, the business community came together with the Safe Place campaign. Again, this goes back to 2019 when the task force had actually worked on the, Safe City initiative. And then, if we take today as when the council has added the words hate-free and made it a long-term commitment, we said it would be a great time for us to launch Hate Has No Home Here from Renton's standpoint, but again, make it very specific to Renton. So we've taken, for instance, the top languages in Renton that make sense for our community and made them as part of our posters. We've created, we're going to be launching. So this is really the first time that we're launching this and sharing this with the council. A place on the website, rentonwa.gov/no hate, where we'll be providing all this information and posting it. And then, providing flyers, banners. The first, we'll be assuming a big part of this because we understand with the pandemic, we have to, limit how much the community can come together, but providing digitally a lot of information for the community to be able to download, to share on social media, and things that they can take, but on our own, where we can do it, put out posters, flyers, banners. We're looking at, like the farmers market, which is going to launch in June. We'll put out a banner there. We'll make, flyers and posters available where people, if they feel comfortable, they can take it. And then through the campaign, we're still working on the idea, but have a way that people can send in video clips and create a, inclusive video. And all this, again, doing it with some of the more core focuses that are really the intrinsic value of the campaign, which is which is what will hold us all together. So just wanted to say that we're doing the things which are part of the business plan, doing the community value, and I did want to share with you that we've also been in conversation with the city of Bellevue, so that, again, we're doing this as a partnership as well, because they have launched it. And also this campaign is a national campaign, the Hate Has No Home Here. So, we're not infringing on anything, but we're just adding to the partnership. So, any questions, council members?
Council Member Benedetti.
Thank you very much, Preeti. Appreciate your presenting on this evening. So I understand that the Bellevue campaign includes opportunities for residents to pick up yard signs. Is that the intention, that we're going to be doing that as well, that the city will be printing those and people will be able to pick them up and demonstrate their
at this point, we're looking at mostly a digital social media campaign and posters and flyers. And then in terms of big signs, we're planning to do banners that we as the city will put up. So we've not added yard signs to our list of material.
Okay. And then I noticed the Hate Has No Home Here one of the things that helped kick it off was a statement jointly made from their mayor and police chief. Is that the intention here? And if so, when do you think that the kickoff will start?
We're looking at, we're basically looking today as, with the adoption of the business plan, that's our, our bigger focus is aiming at, tying it in with including hate-free to our business plan. And then, we'll send out a press release to kick it off with the information tied to that. So that's our way of kicking off our campaign. The other big kickoff will be with the farmers market, where we'll have the banner that we'll place at the farmers market.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember O'Halloran.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you, Preeti. I wanted to ask if there's any possibility of spreading the good cheer to neighborhoods other than just the downtown core. So having a banner somewhere prominent on Benson Hill, having a banner somewhere prominent in the Highlands, and just making it a larger population that we're reaching rather than just those people who go to the farmers market, for example.
Yes, absolutely. So we just said, we would start with, Benson, sorry, I'm already taking your ideas in. We would start at the farmers market, but we want to make it as big as we possibly can. And especially, when we start doing it with social media, and if we have volunteers and people, who contact me and say, I'd love to put up a banner here, we'll work together to make it happen. We just want to kind of, we'll put it up on our Maple Valley, the sign we have near our recreation center. So we put it on the reader board there, and that's got huge coverage. So whatever we can do, that, certainly everything we can do as a city, and then any other volunteers we get who would tell us, help us with this sign or make this for us and we'll post it, we want to do that. And we want it to spread organically and over time. So, we have our hands raised to help it grow and move as we can.
Thank you.
Oh, thank you. Councilmember Perez.
Thank you. Preeti, on your presentation on page 6, it says that the poster will be available for residents to put them on their windows. So just to follow up a little bit the question of Councilmember Benedetti, they are not going to be yard signs, but the posters will be available for residents.
Yes.
Okay. Thank
you. So, one of the things, as you might know, Councilmember Perez, is we're still waiting for the governor to announce how things are going to happen in terms of the phase for, whether we're going to go back to phase 2 with the pandemic. So part of the hesitation of going very full-blown in terms of distribution is to say, depending on where we go in terms of the restrictions of COVID, we're being a little bit more cautious in terms of distribution. So if, for instance, we stay where we are, we can be more, optimistic in maybe having a lot more venues for people to be able to pick things up. Otherwise, people can definitely, have things that they can, print or use digitally. So the goal is to make things available in the safest way possible for people to be able to spread the news.
Okay. Okay, I'll go to Councilmember Benedetti, and then after that, Councilmember McGurven. So Councilmember Benedetti.
Thank you. I just had to figure out how to unmute myself there, Council President. So I'm wondering, have we identified our key partners for this project yet? Do we have groups that we're going to be working with in order to help spread the news in the campaign?
So one of the partners I would definitely work with is we've already approached our inclusion task force members, so they would be our great partners and work with them, through all their channels. And as we've seen before, they've been fantastic, from the census campaign to, and some of them have got real great reach through grocery stores, restaurants, etc. So we definitely work with them. We definitely work with the chamber, because they're great partners through the business community. And then we'll just start with any and every of our other resources we have. This is, like I said, a first call, council member, first time for us to kind of start with this. Our goal is to be working all those partnerships through the month of May and June and onwards. There is no restriction on what we can do in terms of getting people to take this on and to move this further, and we hope it'll be as far and wide as we can. Like, just hearing you, I can think of KCLS and some other groups like that are out there in the community.
Okay, thank you, Preeti. Councilmember McGurven.
Yes, thank you, Mr. President, and thank you for your presentation. I definitely love the poster. I love the digital component for sure. I'm wondering if there is the ability to perhaps customize it. So I like the inclusion of different languages on there. The one feedback, and I rarely will make stylistic comments because I leave that to the experts like you. I'm wondering if, based on the size, and maybe this is not a final version yet, if the readability would be an issue from a distance, perhaps if we could make them a little bit larger. I think that would be helpful. The same thing if the digital variants could have it so that you could change it so that the large script was in the language of your choosing. I think that would be a great option as well. And maybe that's already in the works. Like I said, I know sometimes you bring us the non-final product so we can see it in advance. So that was my observation. I'll just leave it at that. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, the digital version, the languages are larger, but we will definitely pay attention to that, yes. So.
Thank you. Councilmember Van.
Thank you, Council President. Yeah, I was just thinking of where the placement of the hate-free, because initially we had it in the safety part, but I'm still processing that. And I've been thinking this past week as well. I think also what Councilmember Ryan mentioned is, McGurven mentioned is important. I'm not sure. I don't think you've had the opportunity to share it with the audience, with our neighbors yet during this meeting of the whole. If you want to share it right now before we keep asking questions, but just to kind of give the visual if folks wanted to see it. But yeah, I think it's great artistic style that we have there, and just through the campaign, it's important. But really addressing to the sentiment why it was brought up at council retreat was that it took our city 9 days to denounce hate. So I think it's a little bit different than where it's placing. But I think I don't have a big issue as far as the placing of it, but just kind of how do we as a city move forward and really holding ourselves accountable to when there is hate crimes, hate speech in our city. How do we address that, right? Because here is we're providing a welcoming space and saying we are a hate-free zone, which is great, but how do we act as electeds when it happens?
Councilmember Van, thank you. And Councilmember Van, I think, did I understand you saying that we haven't yet shown the poster on the visual? Did we miss that chance? I know I've been looking at the presentation on my computer, so it's probably a good idea to share that so that people processing the comments at home will understand what we're talking about. Preeti, are you able to bring that presentation back up?
I thought it was.
Oh, no, it's switched. Yep.
Okay.
Yep. thank you. Thank you, Councilmember Van, for pointing that out. I had switched over to just looking at my computer. I think other council members had, but so this will make more sense to people viewing at home. Okay, next up is Councilmember O'Halloran.
Yes, thank you. I just wanted to mention that I think this is an excellent opportunity to partner with folks down at the landing to get some banners there, Renton Technical College and the school district as well. I think would be very important to get on board with this. That's all. Thank you.
Okay.
Yes, I remember the landing as what that was another one of the thoughts I had, because there's a great area for placing a banner there. So, we had done something like this when we first launched the Seahawks, where we'd also provided posters for people to, to print and to take. So we'll use a similar model, and I think that experience helps us a little bit in terms of a community and city campaign.
Thank you. And with that, I probably should keep us moving so that we can get to the other two topics on the agenda tonight. This is a great program. Thank you so much for all your work on this. And I think I'll move us along to the Inclusion Task Force report.
Thank you. And you have me again. This is my greatest pleasure to share with you the Mayor's Inclusion Task Force annual report. I have attached and provided a copy of the report for all of you. And it's really an honor and very humbling to share, what the task force has accomplished this past year. I will not read out all the details of the report. I hope you have the time to go through what they have done for the city. And, they've been partners with us, some of them for almost 14 years, as you know. And this partnership is invaluable. It's been praised across the country. But especially some of the accomplishments and what the task force members have done, for our community this past year is just amazing. And some of them didn't even want to own up to their contributions. So it really took a lot for us to get them to, share all the details. And as you see the current members of the task force, you can really see the diversity of the group we have. All ages, all walks of life, all communities. So this is really a treasure that we're very fortunate to be able to boast of in Renton. So some of the things, as soon as the pandemic hit, we had our first responders out there, but with them, hand in hand, we had members of our task force from providing, right there at Valley Medical and Swedish, oximeters, blood pressure, masks for Renton of PD, food essentials to the food banks and feeding programs and shelters. Our Renton Multicultural Festival was supposed to be with River Days. It was canceled, but we had the task force saying, no, we're going to celebrate. And not only did they come back to host the festival virtually, but this was also the time when the nation was grieving, because we had horrific incidents like the death of Mr. Floyd, and the country was in chaos. And they brought together a theme for the virtual festival, Unity and Hope, and brought our community together, our city together, our region together. And we had outstanding numbers for this virtual festival, people from all over attending, a video that was, just an unbelievable video, youth participating. The video that actually brought sales for ethnic production of retail. The Safe Place campaign that I mentioned, that was actually an original idea that a subcommittee of the task force had created. Various groups from the task force that came together, the Renton African American pastors, the Latino community, the LGBTQIA community, to help, to heal, to take the messages to their communities. They were available in every form: phone call, text messages, Zoom calls. They adapted as the situations needed. And then census. On top of everything, we had the census, and the first time it was online. Talk about mistrust, talk about fear, but also talk about what all was riding on this census. Lots of funding, lots of really critical programs. And once again, from being the least counted city in the nation, we turned it around, and thanks to the help of the grassroots efforts, of the social media efforts of our Mayor's Inclusion Task Force, we came up ahead to being the most counted in the nation. And just 2 weeks ago, we got this award in New York from PR News, where we were competing with the private sector, and walked away with this award hand in hand with the Portland Trail Blazers, recognized by, along with the top ad agencies in the country. So, really fantastic work from them. And everything from whether it's language translations or, out there in the community to do outreach or being advocates in their specific communities, they've been there for us. And even more important things like helping with the Housing Action Plan this year in 2020, helping with key policies related to the RFA. Certainly they were the sounding board for us when we made some key changes with our business plan, coming to testify with our legislative policies. They've played some really critical roles for us. And this year, as we have started going out, looking for some major changes and looking at the future of an equity commission, the task force members were out there, out in the community, gathering groups for us. So I just wanted to say that, please take a look at the report in detail. And thanks to all the task force members who might be attending or watching this presentation later on. You are really just amazing. We are so fortunate in Renton to have the support of a group such as you. Really, you are the envy of every city in this country. Thank you.
Thank you, Preeti. It's such a good explanation of such important role by so many hardworking people. With that, I'd like to ask if council members have questions. Great. Well, I know this is an important task force for everybody, and I think people are being a little respectful of the fact we're getting low on time here. So thank you to the members of the task force that have been able to join us, as well as to the staff for putting the report together. And with that, can we move on to the inclusive purchasing update?
Sure. I'd like to introduce Carrie Roller. Council members, if you remember, this was another priority in the retreat to talk about inclusive purchasing, vendor contracting. And this is another area that we have been focusing on. Carrie Roller, Benita Horn will give you an update on, and where we have started our work on this. So I'll turn it over to Carrie and Benita, and they will give you an update on some really exciting work that we are, thrilled to present to you on this
Great.
work.
Thank you.
Thank you, Preeti. Good evening, Council President Corman, council members. The ASD department started an inclusion tactical plan back in 2017 to improve access to city purchasing and contracting. And our goal and focus was to really look at contracting process, who we're contracting with, are we reaching the right vendors, and just really kind of look at if we have any barriers that are in place, and just develop a good plan to really reach out to different community members and businesses that we might not be contracting with currently. So the first part of the plan was to really gather some information. We began to look right away at trying to quantify what are the vendors we're working with currently. So we looked at our active vendor list, and we reached out to all of them and asked them to update their information, and then also whether they were women-owned, minority-owned, or a small disadvantaged business. And we received quite a bit of information back, and we were able to identify that 10% of our vendors are designated as WMBE. We also at the same time really focused on our business licenses and which businesses in the city of Renton are also designated as women, minority owned, or small disadvantaged business. And so we updated our online tool where people go in and renew their business license as well as apply for a business license. And we added that designation so people can designate what kind of business they are. And we have about 20% of our businesses are designated as WMBE businesses. So with that information, we were able to then look at how are we doing as a city so far. And so currently the city clerk reports to council on a quarterly basis the listing of new contracts that are awarded. Oh, I'll go ahead and share my screen. So currently, the city clerk reports to council on a quarterly basis the listing of new contracts that are awarded during a 3-month period of time. And our IT department kind of cross-referenced that report with information we had already gathered through our vendors and our business licenses, and we were able to see how are we doing as a city. And so for the first quarter of 2021, we had a total contract award of $57 million in new contracts for the city. $27 million of those contracts were awarded to WMBE vendors that were identified through our process. So 47% of the new contracts for the first quarter of this year were reaching women, minority-owned businesses. So it's just really exciting to see the progress that we're making as a city. So then the next thing that we wanted to do was we wanted to make sure that we had designated staff that was focusing on this. We've kind of had some turnover in finance, and so we wanted to make sure that we had a great team leading this charge now that we have the information. So along with Preeti, we have Benita Horn, who will be helping us walk through the equity lens. We have Jason Seth, who was part of the initial tactical plan development in 2017. And then we also have a new member of our team, Rebel Che. She's from finance, and she's responsible for preparing the city's budget. So we really think we have a great team that's going to be able to work on this quite a bit. We also became members of GARE, which is the Government Alliance on Race and Equity, to begin to gather information on some best practices surrounding this plan. Gather information about how other cities who have been successful in contracting for equity, and just really kind of honing in on our process altogether. So this is going to be a great resource that we can use as we move forward. We also then realized that we were missing a key component to our tactical plan. We had yet to put our current contracting process through the city's equity lens. And so one of the key steps of the equity lens is to really get input from our community. So with that, we are scheduled to meet with the Mayor's Inclusion Task Force this in a couple weeks on May 20th to get their input on what might be some of the barriers that we have for contractors right now, what are the best venues to get information out to all sorts of types of businesses, and what areas can we improve on our overall communication for contracting opportunities. I think gaining an understanding and identifying the areas of focus will be an important step as we can make sure we're on the right track with this tactical plan. We also have plans to reach out to the Chamber of Commerce to kind of get the same input from them that we're going to be asking of the Mayor's Inclusion Task Force. We also plan to extend even further past our Renton community and work with MRC as well as the Department of Revenue to expand and market our procurement and contracting program. Finally, we have mentioned in the past, we would like to implement a vendor fair. This vendor fair will not only to be able to meet potential vendors, but to also to help facilitate the process on how to contract with the city. I think contracting with the government agencies right now has a lot of twists and turns and various requirements that really seem very cumbersome and confusing to many people. Our hope is to open this communication, to break down some of the process, and just really invite and inspire new businesses to feel comfortable about the process. We have seen some successful programs with other cities, and we're really going to reach out to them and learn what they've done and what they did well and what they wish they could have done differently. We have been working on this vendor fair for quite some time. However, without going through the equity lens process with our key community members first, we may not have been on the right track. So we felt it was best to take a step back from the vendor fair process and really make sure that we talk to our key community members before we move much further with the vendor fair. So we're excited to be able to meet with the Mayor's Inclusion Task Force on the 20th to learn more about how we can make this program successful. So with that, I don't know if anybody has any questions.
Mr. President. Thank you, Carrie. Yes, Councilmember Prince.
Carrie, thank you so much for presentation. On the slide, earlier slide, you talked about the 47%.
Yes.
Have you disaggregated that number anymore so that we know what part of that number went to women-owned businesses and what part of that number went to minority-owned businesses?
We absolutely can. I don't have it with me, but I absolutely can get that for you.
If you could get that to the council, that'd be great, just so we can have that information.
Yeah, good suggestion. Other council members? Sorry, let's see. I've got multiples now. Benita Horn has her hand up first.
Thank you, Council President. I just really want to lift up and acknowledge the consistent and continuous work of ASD. You know, as Carrie said, they began this journey in 2017, and so much has happened since then. You know, initially, as she said, they found that there was not a database that would even tell them who the vendors are. And so, fortunately, because they were updating their programming, they installed a mechanism in the database to gather that information, which had never existed in the city. They contacted key influencers in the city, project managers and others who make purchasing decisions, to involve them and get their input. They were on the eve of launching the first vendor fair, and then two major things happened: the biennial budget and COVID, and then a transition of the administrator. And through all of that, the spirit of the inclusion goal in the business plan has been held fully lit by the ASD organization. And I really just want to acknowledge that. They're taking step by step, moving this forward. And as you can see, the city has already realized a result, as a measurable result, tangible result, as the proof of their effort. So I just have to say that.
Yeah. Well, thank you. That's very well said. I appreciate it, Benita. Councilmember Van.
Yeah, thank you, Council President. I just want to say thank you, Carrie, for the presentation, all the work that you've done in the department. Yeah, I should not have gone after Miss Benita. But yeah, it's very much appreciated. And the vendor fair, for you guys putting it back up again, even though, because of COVID last year. So appreciate it.
Yeah, we're definitely going to need to be creative still, probably with the vendor fair, but we've seen other cities do it successfully remotely, even if we need to, and we'll make sure we get that done. So excited for it. Thank you all.
Yeah, thank you. Gosh, with that, I see we only have 10 minutes until the council meeting begins. So I want to thank everybody that was here tonight to present, and I want to thank all the staff that worked so hard, and thank the Inclusion Task Force for their work. And council, thank you for bringing all these items to light during the council offsite. And it really, really nice closure on some important items and some exciting items that we're going to be working on in the future. So great progress, great meeting. With that, I'll adjourn the committee of the whole, and we'll reconvene as a council in 10 minutes.